Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ron from International Trade Council. Thank you for attending today's educational session. Before we start, I would like to do a quick audio check. Can everyone hear me from the audience? Please type in yes in the chat box to make sure that the audio is clear. All right, perfect. Thank you. And you can also see the PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so the topic for today's educational session is the mission of achieving a vision, an entrepreneur's experience. In this webinar, an experienced entrepreneur shares their 30-year-old journey from zero capital to an internationally recognized food manufacturing business. Attendees will gain practical real-world insights on overcoming challenges and key principles that shape their success. This entrepreneur started with no capital, no food tech experience, transitioning from a corporate background after years at Exxon enzyme plantations. The webinar provides valuable hands-on lessons from those navigating market uncertainties or starting their entrepreneurial venture. Our speaker is Mikey Kwa Kim Wong, Managing Director of Care Foods Industries. Before we start, if you have any questions on the presentation, please feel free to type in your questions on the chat box or on the Q&A tab on the upper hand part of the screen. And then our speaker will be going to answer your questions after the presentation. So without any further ado, Mikey Kwa will start the presentation now. Go ahead, sir.
Fine. Hi, everyone. I'm Mickey Kwa from Care Food Industries, speaking to you from my beautiful city of Kuala Lumpur. KL, as you can see, is a modern city. Um, Recently, a New Yorker recently commented that he was surprised to see that it's a more modern city than New York itself in terms of the malls, the modern transportation, hotels, but he failed to mention the food. KL is actually a food paradise. If you're a foodie like me, you may want to visit KL for all types of food from all over the country and all over the world. Now, let's get on to our topic of today. And that is the mission of achieving a vision. I will candidly share with you my mission of achieving my vision. Let me start by just giving you a quick run of my background so that you'll have a better perception of when I make certain comments over the next few minutes. Basically, I was in a corporate world for almost 15 years before I started to come out on my own for some fresh air and independence by being an entrepreneur. When I left the corporate world, I only had a car, a house, and a small bank balance with no capital to start uh, a manufacturing plant. The only business I could do was to provide all types of management and marketing services in the late 80s. During this time, actually, if I remember correctly, it was in 1987, we were hit by the recession and we could not collect on all our huge stacks of bills. And it was during this time I was toying with the idea of food manufacturing. Why I did not notice my friends, uh, my contemporaries, especially the ladies, do not know how to cook. The best they could achieve was to fry an egg or prepare instant noodles for a simple meal. Being brought up as the youngest of three boys in a family where mom was a great traditional cook, I was bullied by my brothers to stay in the kitchen while they ran off to play football. Well, they say that those who laugh last laugh best. So from here, I was able to acquire the skills and the know-how of cooking traditional Malay, Chinese, Indian recipes, among others, while none of my contemporaries can cook. Now, this led me to realize that our Malaysian food heritage has started to erode, and that in generations ahead, these fabulous food would have been compromised by their authenticity and probably even be lost in the world of modern living. The thought lingered in my mind, and I kept wondering what I could do and how I could overcome this problem. I probably lived with this thought for at least 2 to 3 years while I continued my service business. The recession taught me that doing general management service will not earn me much income, and the collection risk will continue to remain high. I had to specialize and focus on some service business that is unique and different from the rest. It has to be able to create a strong impact and interest that we could collect on our bills without much hassle. Well, I was working with ESSO in the auto industry, oil and gas, and I saw an opportunity in event promotions. During this time, way back in the 1990s, no one has ever staged an international motor show at an international level that could excite both the sponsors as well as the visitors. I immediately went into action. I planned the show concept, listed possible sponsors, and identified all the players in the auto industries. And I began starting selling my idea of the Malaysian to the Malaysian Motor Traders Association to secure the support as well as all the accessory companies to participate in my proposed KL International Motor Show. Now, while doing this, I also rented a small shop next to my office and started doing some R&D work to see how we could develop a complete cooking sauce without the meat or the vegetables so that anyone can cook in 1 or 2 steps without the recipe book. Well, by this time, I was convinced that my vision was very viable as I saw the market was not only local but also for the overseas market. Also, there are many business possibilities in various business lines, like the retail consumer, the food service, or some of you may know it as the HoReCa, hotels, restaurants, and caterers. We can do private labels, franchising. The other is OEM. I don't know why it does. This OEM is original equipment manufacturing. This term came from the auto industry, but it went on to the food industry too. And now even the automation of the kitchen operation. In fact, I see the possibility of having a robot to prepare authentic Asian cuisines or curries using our sauces in simple cooking steps. So the KL International Motor Show was a runaway success, and we made sufficient money to invest in a piece of land just outside the city, build the factory, and acquire basic machinery to start the food production. I also have to tell you that during this time, I contacted several government agencies for assistance and for advice. Talked to friends, people who are food technologists. Got myself sponsored by a Japanese organization. Some of you may know of JETRO, Japanese or Japan External Trade Organization, to learn about packaging and packaging materials, and tap on expertise provided by the Canadian government to learn everything I can on food production and food technology. At the onset, it was a painful experience. I threw away tons of products and I had to go back to the drawing board many times. So you can see from here that a vision is really not a dream. It's not a fancy or mere interest. To me, it is more than just formulating a great vision statement and set this as your objective. To me, it has to be a clear idea. In fact, it is a mental and emotional conviction that was tested and developed as I pursued the idea to ensure that it will succeed as a sustainable and a long-term project. In my mind, I was more than convinced that the project will succeed. I saw the potential in the local food market, and we were confident when the participants of all the events that we organized from all over the world, when they came into KL, they were interested in our local food and not in steaks, burgers, or pastas. So, from this episode that I have related, I personally believe and practice the basic principles of the three C's. Excuse me. First, I had a strong conviction, and this only came about when you start getting into the nitty gritty of your vision. You've got to ask questions, test your ideas, and find out all about the unknowns. For example, it was only through personal R&D, trying out what you have learned from the experts and reading on areas of challenges, that you will know whether you can move forward or not. If I was not convinced that I could do a wholesome and quality product at the end of the day, why pay so much money, time, and effort into the project? So your commitment to your vision must be there if you are to achieve your vision, and that is my second C, commitment. Without your commitment, everything will remain hanging in the air. You are a dreamer, not a visionary. The beauty of it all is that as you are committed to work your vision, you will make many interesting discoveries, and you'll soon find that your confidence level growing as you learn. As you learn, as you unearth and discover the many things you face along the way. I recall those early days when I was faced with problems I could not resolve. I used to sleep on it and sometimes jump out of bed with a eureka moment of finding a solution to the problem. I will write it down in the middle of the night before I go back to bed. This is the level of commitment that I exerted to realize my vision. And my third C, confidence, grew, and so did my business in the sauce manufacturing. Today, we have the highest food safety certification, the FSSC 22000. We have been certified for HACCP, which is high necessary certification in the food industries, known as hazard analysis and critical control points. And of course, GMP, which is good manufacturing practice. We are registered with the US FDA, and we are certified halal for all the Muslim customers too. And we received the highest award from Anuga, which is the largest food show in the world. We received a Taste Innovation Award. We also have Manufacturer of the Year Award from the APEC Insider and the Global 100. And from the International Trade Council, we received the Business Award of the Year, and many other, much more other every year that we receive. Today, we have a library of over 400 different sauces to cater for most of the needs of a customer. And we will be launching new downstream products like ready meals using our sauces in the new year. Mission accomplished? Yes, we have come a long way. Our vision has been realized, but there's still much more to go in expanding the horizons of this simple vision. Let me just share with you through this experience my ideas of what are the attributes of an entrepreneur. From this experience, you could see that each one of us as an entrepreneur, we have to be a salesman. For that matter, all of us are salesmen. whether you're an engineer, whether you're a teacher, whether you're an accountant, whatever you are a salesman. We have to, we don't only sell products, but we sell ideas. We try to present our thoughts, our visions, and get people excited with what we have in mind. One way or another, we are salesmen. And one of my greatest experience in being a salesman as an entrepreneur is I always look for that niche of entry. And that hinges, I'm not trying to be vulgar, but it hinges on a four-letter word. And that's need. Need. Everyone has a need. And I always try to look for that need. As if I try to sell an idea to a sponsor of the motor show, I try to identify a sponsor um, who would have a need to use a platform to promote their products. And one of the best candidates in this during those time would be the cigarette boys. People like Benson and Hedges those days, you know. And and I zero in on the need and sell the idea to them how it will benefit them that I could secure sponsorship. So you have to be a salesman. The second thing of as an attribute for an entrepreneur, you need to network whenever and wherever you can. I'm blessed by the fact that I have lots of contacts and friends working in two multinationals. I still maintain good relationship with my ex-colleagues in Esso and in Sime Plantations. I have still maintained relationships with my class and college mates. And I have also a good base of contacts from my church. And and we continue to keep in touch, and we continue to share opinions and share news. And when I started on this business, I practically reached out to them and said, "Hey, this is where I am. I need help, you know, and I have no idea of food technology or production, but I need help. I believe I can do it. And any one of you out there can give me any advice. I'm all ears to hear you." So your networking is very important. And so you see that through my networking, I was able to secure uh, even um, assistance from the Canadian government, which they have this organization called CESO, Canadian Executive Service Organization. And this is a wonderful program where they have executives who are retired from food companies like Procter and Gamble, P&G, you know, and they have years of experience in production. And the Canadian government select them and send them over to us, and they stay with us for at least a month or two, and work with us in the factory and troubleshoot and tell us where we go wrong, and and we show them around, and you know, they live with us, they work with us, and it was a good holiday for them. They get to know us well, and we get to know them, and we learn new technology, which was proven, and it really pays, you know, to get on to make the necessary contacts. The other thing here is, as an entrepreneur, in whatever you do, never stop improving. You are never in a perfect situation, and competition continues to come on board. So you have to continue to improve, and we continue to widen our scope of products that we can offer. We continue to move downstreams to provide more convenient and quality products using our source base. And we continue to relook and review what we have done and see how we can further improve our existing products. I think an entrepreneur with a vision would also be one with a passion for your vision. And that's important to keep the flame of your passion burning. And that That flame that is burning will carry you through times of challenges and difficulties. And at the bottom line, you have to have faith in yourself and have faith in God. If you remember, America itself, when it was first started, they made a declaration that in God we trust. Unfortunately, I think it was the time of President Kennedy when he he began to turn away, uh, and probably he trusted Marilyn Monroe better. So, and I think as an entrepreneur, you will face many challenges that you got to have faith in yourself. The other thing I would like to share with you is that entrepreneurship is not for the faint-hearted. You've got to be strong to face the storm. Nothing is a bed of roses. If you are running a business, especially as a startup, you need to mobilize every effort. I always relate this to like an airplane that is taking off. You need to go on full throttle and climb until you're above the clouds that you can go on cruising speed. And so you've got to be strong because as you be a startup, you face many challenges, as what I did. If you're not strong, you may crumble under the pressure, and that itself will be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Recently, we went through a heavy storm in the year 2019. 2019 was a year where we exhibited in the largest food show in Cologne, Germany, the Anuga, and we were awarded this Taste Innovation Award, and we had a lot of publicity. The German TV and press boys, and there were food writers from all over the world that came and crowded over our exhibition stand. We had inquiries coming in from all over the world. Everybody was interested in our products, interested in us. We were famous overnight. And I thought that we got it made. And we worked very hard to respond to all the inquiries that we received. But before we know it, before we even could get any response from these inquiries, there came the COVID pandemic and everything was on lockdown. And thereafter, we faced another challenge. Because of the COVID, there was a big havoc in the shipping area. All the ports were stacked with all the containers, and the shipping rates went up 400 to 500%. The cost of shipping became more expensive than the cost of our products. We were 90% doing export business. Just a matter of weeks, we lost everything. Nobody in countries like Canada, the US, and Europe, which we are exporting to, could continue buying from us. It was totally impossible. And there we lost everything. That was a massive, massive storm. What do? Do we give up and feel sorry and pathetic about ourselves? No. If you are an entrepreneur, you not only got to be strong, you got to face the storm. You got to go against the storm. You also got to be stubborn and know that your business will fight against this and will sustain. You got to stand firm. What we did was, knowing that the export sales was an impossible task during those period, we immediately moved on to the social media. Instead of cutting costs, we spend more money. We got talents, and we we wrote up scripts and we launched what we call the Instant Chef Show. We started several weeks of a simple show every week, showing how easy it is to use our products. And then we started selling on social media. Well, our social media sales at that time was not too impressive. However, the big boys got hit of us. We got contacted by some of the big names in the industry, asking us to do products for them under their brand. And while one of the companies, international company, who were more involved with drinks, they suffered heavy losses. And unfortunately, the chief executive had to resign, and the project stalled and stopped. But and the other second company went ahead with private labels, and that turned us around. So we survived the pandemic by doing private labels for another company. So you see that uh, we have to be flexible as an entrepreneur. There's an old Chinese saying that say, if you can't fight in the north, you fight in the south, but you still fight, you know. Um, so I think in Malaysia during the COVID pandemic, over 60% of SMEs business has winded up, unfortunately. But thank God, because we have remained strong and face the storm, because we are stubborn, we stand firm, we survive. So in doing business, I also believe that you got to be honest. My dad used to say that during his time, they do business just by the phone. There's no time to sign contracts. We just agree on the terms, and that's it. My word is my honor. And we will just follow through on whatever we have committed. And this paid off over the years because our customers trust us. And today, we are getting back some of our customers as sea freight begins to settle back to their normal levels. Our customers in the States, in Canada, in Europe, they are coming back to us. I think when we face a storm, we cannot procrastinate. We have to be decisive. If we just procrastinate and say, oh, poor me, well, that is your self-fulfilling prophecy. You will wind up your business. But we were decisive. We know that if we can't do the export business, we have to go to a different business line. And at that point of time, the social media was the avenue for us. So, moving on, I like to say that as an entrepreneur starting off with a business, when do you think you will reach the end of the rainbow and see your pot of gold? I remember many years ago, a banker in one of the leading banks said this of running a business. He said that running a business is like riding a bicycle. You must continue pedaling. If you stop pedaling, you will lose your balance and you will fall. there is some degree of truth in this. However, of course, in today's world, you have several options to pass the baton. Most business people will relate success to the amount of money that you can make. But I think that this is not the only yardstick. The fact that you have achieved your vision is in itself a success. Life is certainly much more than money. The richness of a life as an entrepreneur, I think, is, looking back, very rewarding. And I have no regrets with it. I'd just like to share with you a simple illustration of what I've learned observing a tree. If you look at the tree on the left-hand side, you notice that this tree was planted on the ground. It had received the proper nourishments from the soil and fertilizers. And you look at the tree on the right, this tree on the right actually grew out of nothing. There was no soil. It grew out from a brick wall, in the crevice of a brick wall. The birds or the wind had blown the seed from the tree on the left, and the seed was stuck in the crevice of this brick wall. And this seed from the brick wall started sprouting and started growing. It has no soil, probably just a bit of dampness from the bricks. But then it started sprouting roots. You can see the roots were spread all over the wall. I was interested in this tree because this tree grew up to be a huge tree, much, much bigger. I think about 3 times the height of the tree on the left. And I traced the roots that has developed, this root structure that has developed. It has spread something like 200 feet right to the other end of the wall, into another drain. And this aggressive networking of roots caused this tree to grow 3 times as large as the original tree. And one day, the neighboring piece of land found a beehive on the tree. And what he did was he tried to poison the tree. That's why you could see a lot of dry branches out there. The tree was poisoned and it dried out. Some of the branches dried out and the branches just broke and fell. But see what happened now. Out of almost a dead tree, new sprouts of life comes on. The tree continues to grow again, all over again. I believe this tree will gain momentum and grow back to its normal stature. That, my friend, is the story of an entrepreneur's life. Never say die. Develop your network. Be firmly rooted in your business and keep going. So with this, I end my presentation and I look forward for interaction. If I can receive any questions that I'd like to discuss with you, perhaps you could share with me some of your thoughts. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for that very inspiring presentation, Mikey. So we're open for questions now. Yes, this webinar is recorded. You can replay this webinar on the same platform, but we will also upload this recording to our YouTube channel for a wider reach. So you can also check that on our channel. So while waiting for some questions, just a few announcements. So this webinar, you will receive a certificate of participation for this webinar. You will receive it in the next few days. And
Thank
if
you.
there are some Attendees who are not yet a member of International Trade Council, we can offer you free membership. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me. All right, so we're open for questions. Any questions on the from the audience? While we are waiting for the question, Mikey, maybe you can add more or anything you would like to share about the topic while we are waiting for the question. We still have 25 minutes.
Sure. I mean, if you are to be an entrepreneur, you have to be prepared for problems and failures. Failures is part of business. But to me, your very failure can be a blessing because, as I said earlier, we never say die. And we learn from our failures. And I believe that with every failure, you will actually bring you to a new level of success. And that's what we call experience, isn't it? So today, uh, I'm actually basically a bean counter. I have no idea of food technology. Neither do I have any technical knowledge of running a factory. But today, I know my factory inside out. I know what are the parameters of what a good product is, and I'm teaching my food techs. I have three food technologies with me, but I'm teaching them how to develop the products. So, well, I didn't learn this from textbooks, but I did learn this from experience. So, it is the very failure of my R&D that I make new discoveries, and I establish a means of production that I could produce wholesome products without any preservatives, without any colors, without anything artificial, and and it has a shelf life of 2 years, if not more.
Mikey, we have a question here. It's
Yes.
projected on the screen. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Uh, it's from Kyoma. Kyoma, is it? Kyoma Upabi. Kyoma, where are you from? Which country are you calling from?
From Nigeria.
You're from Malaysia. Hi.
No, Nigeria.
Nigeria. Okay, great. As an entrepreneur, how can you sell your vision to others to understand the idea of business is all you live for? I think Choma is a matter of your conviction and your passion. As I said just now, I always look for people and I try to identify the need because remember I said we are all salesmen. If you have an idea of a vision, and say for example in this case you may want to look for venture capitalists or investors, then you have to sell them your idea of why you think your vision is viable, why you think your vision is sustainable, and why you think that it will succeed. You have to be convinced yourself before you can convince others, right? And and so if you have that passion and conviction, and if you know somebody who has the money and do not know what to do with it, then that is his need. You are giving him an opportunity to see what he can do with this money by working together with you. I hope I've answered your question.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, so I don't see any other questions here. I believe that the the presentation is very well presented. That's why people are very much inspired with the presentation. That's why there is no other questions coming from them. However, I would like to ask everyone if you have anything you would like to confirm or clarify after this presentation, and if you would like to reach to him directly, I suggest, Mike, you can type in your email address on the chat box so that if they would like to talk to you one on one, they can reach out
Sure.
via email. All right, so
Okay, you got my email address.
yes, we got it. There is a feed. There is a statement here from Kioma again. If you can see it on the screen, she has a takeaway from your presentation. Maybe you can you can add something on this feedback.
Sorry, I'm looking for it right now.
So I'll just read it for you. So her takeaway is in your dream before you convince.
You have to be convinced in your dream before you can convince others. Uh, as I said earlier, as I said earlier, uh, your vision is not just a dream. It's much more than a dream. You know. So you have, as what I've in my own experience, I have formulated an idea. I saw a niche market, and I kept working on it. I kept pondering on it. I tested it, and I said, hey, if now my friends and all my girlfriends were not able to cook, what happens down the road? So so I was convinced that there is a market, you know, and I felt that I'm in a position to try to, so to say, capture and preserve that that recipe, that authenticity, that heritage, that food heritage, and use that as a product to sell to the local as well as the export market. So so it's more than a dream. It's something that I keep thinking about it and I keep working on it, and I found out more avenues, and the more I look at it, the more I think about it, the more convinced I am, you know. And when I'm more convinced, the more involved I get into it. So I think that's that was a spark that led me to talk to others. I was not looking for partnership. I took the route of trying to raise money to finance the project. But I got people excited with my ideas, especially the government agencies, and say, hey, I think we're going to lose our food heritage. I'd like to do something, but I have no idea what to do. Can you help me? What are the agencies that I can do? So I went to several government agencies who I remember sitting down there, and this food scientist giving me a lecture. I'm sitting down there and trying to understand what he's telling me, you know, and because of my passion for it, I think I managed to convince even the foreign governments to help me. And I tell you, Jethro sponsored me a trip to Japan. I visited several Japanese factories, and I was taught how all the difference about different plastic materials, gas barriers, and all that, and that was really a blessing.
Thank you. And one, I still have one question here, if you can see it on the screen, from Jenilara Patari from India.
Hi, Jenny Latam. Let me read your question. Sometimes, as an entrepreneur, things may come to our mind that why this business? Why not other business which has comparatively better money? Aha! If you have this thought, don't pursue your vision. Let me be very frank with you. Because if you know that there are other business that give you better returns, why not pursue it? Why keep banging your head on the wall? You know, go for the best. In my case, uh, I saw a business opportunity that is very sustainable, very long term, and you could see the size of the market that is very tremendous. That's why I went for it. I was very successful in event promotions. I did many other event promotions. I organized international polo. I organized Supercross Masters. I did the Formula One boat racing. But these projects were not sustainable. It was trendy. It was, there were some political constraints on it. I know that I couldn't do it forever. So I have to treat it as part of my hobby. But I needed a business that would be long term. And that's why I continue to work on it. I hope I've answered your question.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right. So I don't see any other questions here. Before we end the webinar or the presentation, I would like to ask Mikey to give us his final thoughts about the presentation, any advice, anything that he would like to add before we end the webinar.
Well, I would just say that the life of an entrepreneur is not easy. That's why I say it's not for the faint-hearted. Especially now when we are facing more uncertainties in our current world. And so you have to be very sure of what you're doing. But having said that, in any situation, in any part of the world that you are, somehow, somewhere, there is an opportunity waiting for you. So all the best, my friends. Best regards from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
Thank you. On behalf of International Trade Council, I would like to thank you, Mikey, for this very inspiring presentation. And we look forward having a presentation with you again in the future. And on behalf of ITC as well, we would like to thank all the participants for attending today's educational session. And we look forward seeing you again in the next webinar. Thank you for your time, and you all have a wonderful afternoon. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you. All the best. Bye.